Bueno, buenos días a todos y todas.
Good morning, everyone. I am Carlos from the Agriculture Program from IECA, and I would like to welcome all of you to the third webinar of the pre-week of digital agriculture. As you all know, this pre-week, which we started on Monday, has the purpose of opening the call for AgTechs on this year's edition for the Digital Week of Agriculture, for you to get to know some initiatives for this edition. That on Monday we had a chance to launch this opening with opening the form, which you can access on the link that we share with you. All those AgTechs that are based on one country in the Americas, with solutions on services on one country in the Americas. Yesterday, we also have a webinar on public policies in order to facilitate agricultural-based services. And today, we're gonna talk about remote sensing related to agriculture in order to present all the reports with ASA Harvest and the University of Maryland on the application on remote sensing in order to improve statistics for agricultural reports on countries on the Latin America. So we would like to welcome you again, and we would like to thank the speakers for being here today on this webinar, which will last an hour, and special thanks to our strategic allies for this week. CAP Bank, the Development Bank for Latin America, the United Nations, and CGR. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Federico Bert, manager of the program with the IECA, who will be the moderator and the introduction of these programs for today. Thank you, Carlos. I am Federico Bert, manager for the agribusiness program at IECA, and I would like to greet Lloyd Day, our deputy director, who is also participating on today's webinar. It is a pleasure to greet you on behalf of IECA and to be hosting today this webinar in cooperation for this year that we've been working on this program, and to see all these fruit with the University of Maryland, to be able to greet you, Stefania, Antonio, Fernando, Guadalupe, and all of our speakers today.
Este trabajo que vamos a presentar hoy no empieza hoy ni tampoco termina hoy. Empezó en la previa de la Semana de la Agricultura Digital del año.
On this week of digital agriculture, the idea is to conduct a workshop that will be focusing on analyzing with the statistics on agricultural reports. So we accepted for two special purposes, which is clearly important, which is one of the main purposes for all of this. And in association for this, IECA is working with 34 member countries in the Americas, all the way from Argentina to Canada and the Caribbean, with the ministers of agriculture. So the statistics are key for different applications for each of the countries. So as for all of us, it is really important to have all these efforts in order to be able to support these statistics. On the other hand, and not less important, all of this is very important on this agenda for cooperation, and this is why we decided to create, as part of our mandate, a little over 2 years ago, this program for digitalization that we are in charge of cooperating. And we see, as part of this initial proposal, along with what we are going to propose today, the idea of proposing as part of the digital the idea, in this case for remote sensing, something that is really important, which is a generation of these statistics for the sector for all the different countries. So having said this, and without taking more of your time, it's really a pleasure for all of you as part of AICA to be able to present to you. Briefly, I would like to thank all of AICA's personnel and the regional coordinators to be able to coordinate to you with all the representatives of the ministers and secretariats on the different countries, and above anything, I think that and hope that this is going to be beneficial for all of you. So I would like now to give the floor to Christopher. So it's really a pleasure to have you with us on behalf of ICA. He is the leading scientist of NASA Harvest, and he can share with you more detail. So without taking more of your time, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And good morning. My name is Chris Justice. I'm the chief scientist for NASA Harvest. I'm co-chair of the International GeoGLAM program and a professor at the University of Maryland. Gives me great pleasure to say a few introductory words on behalf of NASA Harvest, especially as the primary goal of NASA Harvest is to build collaborations to help organizations and agencies use satellite remote sensing to improve their agricultural monitoring and statistics. Today, we are happy to present this joint report prepared by AMA, NASA Harvest, Latin America, Caribbean, the AICA, the technical collaboration of UNFAO with inputs from many different country specialists in the region that brings results of last year's workshop held during the Digital Agricultural Week hosted by AICA. Collaborating with established institutions like AICA provides great opportunities for knowledge exchange and capacity building among agricultural stakeholders at the national and regional levels. This facilitates the sharing of expertise and technical know-how, empowering local agencies to leverage Earth observations data effectively for agricultural monitoring and decision-making. Partnering with AICA also creates opportunities for innovation and co-creation of new solutions to address emerging challenges in agriculture and food security. By leveraging the expertise and networks of both organizations, NASA Harvest can help foster interdisciplinary collaborations and explore novel approaches for tackling complex agricultural issues, leading to the development of more robust and scalable solutions. Based on what we learned from the workshop and the report, we're looking forward to continue to work closely with AICA. This will ensure the accuracy and reliability of agricultural monitoring products and enhance their credibility among end users from farmers to policymakers, increasing knowledge exchange and helping build technical capacity. I think it's worth saying, at this time, there's nothing more important than international cooperation. And this has been a wonderful example. So thank you very much for your attention.
Muchísimas gracias, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Chris. It has been really a pleasure to have you here with us. It's an honor. And to keep on with the agenda, now I would like to give the floor to our colleagues, Stefania Puricelli and Antonio Sanchez, both from NASA Harvest LAC. They will be presenting the details of the work that we have been doing for the past months on the input that we generated from the workshop that we had approximately a year ago. So while they prepare the presentation, allow me to say a couple of messages. First of all, as you might have noticed, we have simultaneous interpretation. And so you can choose the language that you would like to listen to keep on following up. And also after Estefania San Antonio's presentation, we're going to listen to Antonio and Guadalupe, and then we'll have an exchange in order to share some experiences. So for the participants, I would like to ask you to use the Zoom features. You can make your comments and questions on the chat. We'll be paying attention to everything that you want to share with us so that we can share with the rest of the speakers at the end of the session. And for those of you following us on YouTube, you can also send your comments, and we'll be paying attention to it. So the floor is yours, Estefania and Antonio. And again, it's a pleasure to have you with us. And thank you for being with us. Thank you again for your collaboration throughout all these months. Thank you, Federico. I think that we are here among friends. So I'll start sharing my presentation. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. Can you hear me fine? Yes. Please go ahead. Okay. I did not want to start my presentation without first thanking ECA for the invitation to this event. I think it's quite relevant, both for the region, and I think it's key for all the work that we have been conducting lately with you. And for the future, I think it's going to be very important. In my opinion, I think this is going to set the basis for many ideas and things to come that maybe we can address in the mid-term with our partners. So echoing the words of what Chris just said, I think that I agree that at the end of the day, what will make the difference, it's the links that we'll establish with some key holders in the region, like the case of ICA, and that's going to make the difference in what's going to be successful or not. And I think that we've been lucky to be able to cooperate. And that's going to be significant in helping the agricultural community in the region. So Federico will be happy to keep on cooperating with our strategic allies. And we are here to cooperate in the future. And hopefully we'll keep on working with more initiatives because that's really interesting for us. I am Antonio Sanchez. I am the coordinator of the NASA Harvest Initiative for Latin America and the Caribbean. And I work alongside Estefania Puricelli. She has been the leader of this initiative for the past 2 years brilliantly, I must say. And also she has helping us keep on making progress in the different things that we are working on. But you could not understand what we are doing without Estefania, but I must emphasize on this idea because I don't want to make her uncomfortable, but I'll keep on emphasizing on it, on all these topics. We would like to start all our presentations with a little background for you to understand where we come from and our commitment of NASA on the development of technologies and tools to support the monitoring of agriculture and supporting the food safety that comes from the 70s last century, I must say. So our colleague was joking because he was saying this is over 40 years ago, but it's over not 40 but 50 years. So this feeling that we have for this project is that we still have a long way to go. Not everything has been paved, not everything has been solved. Every day we must face new challenges and problems given the conditions of climate change and all these challenges, new problems to solve. So we still feel that there's a strong commitment and we must face the future. And we cannot understand what we do on a daily basis without taking a look of not looking so far back, but over a decade ago, when back in 2011, under a mandate from the G20, we started with this initiative of GeoGlam to improve the monitoring for agricultural systems and to add the transparency to the markets that back then were on high volatile prices. So it was decided to sit and discuss people that needed to define the mechanisms to address and tackle all these problems. And this way, GeoGlam was created with a clear idea to combine agricultural information and market information. So what we extracted from this process was the fundamental role of the GeoGlam initiative to create an international community to advocate for all the different initiatives that have been created with these two pillars as the basis for everything that we have been building upon. But when we came to this most important moment, which was to simplify these two strong points, which was this system, which was to build a practice community in plural, committed in order to have reliable information on crops and also to generate a system with the help of satellite imagery in order to be able to have some support that was backed by data and science at the same time. And I don't want to forget the future vision of GeoGlam, because everything that we are talking about seems to be in the past, but this is something that will keep moving towards the future. And the idea is to keep on strengthening the existing relationships with the agencies that we currently cooperate with in order to establish new connections and new cooperations with different regions that either we have not been able to address all the case-by-case situations or things that we have not been able to go deeper into. And then I'll go back to this later on in this presentation. And now briefly how from since 2011 we started with all these different activities that are related to us, and with in 2013 and then in 2023 NASA Harvest is now starting to do things the way we like them. Like now going over in 2011, there was the launching of GeoGlam and AMIS with the idea that I just mentioned in order to add transparency to the markets and to support with reliable information regarding agricultural crops. And then Crop Monitor, which back in 2013 was operating, and then they were producing monthly reports. And now it was working. And now for us, something key during these exchanges on the initial stages, we realized, and now I emphasize again something that Chris mentioned, which is that building a community is critical at the end of the day for the success of any type of initiative that you are working on or any type of tool that you want to build, because without a community, these things cannot work. It's not going to move. There won't be progress, and that's our key conclusion, upon which we build the different systems for Crop Monitor at regional and national level. And last, when back in 2018, we launched GeoGlam, which is the monitoring for agriculture, which is a free translation from English. but that was the idea. The initial idea was a little bit different than the work that we were conducting. And but the idea was to export everything that we learned during these years of learning in the region of the Americas, which had some particularities that were unique to the region. And at the end, that was concluded in 2022, but we decided to continue for an additional year. And then in 2023, NASA Harvest decided to adopt or to continue with the work conducted so far, with a change in leadership when Stefania and myself came into this scene in order to make some changes in the direction of some actions that were being taken in the region. And we started building important partnerships with the main stakeholders that took us to these cooperations. So this is something that is currently happening. What is NASA Harvest? I am going to explain a little. I think it's a NASA initiative coordinated by the University of Maryland that uses satellite technology to monitor and analyze agricultural systems globally and also locally. That's something on paper. But that's something that we got from the older projects, but it's about agricultural sustainability, food safety, and we use technologies. And it's the natural consequence of everything that we've been discussing and all the lessons learned and everything that we've been working on since 2011. From the GeoGlam initiative on how to combine all the satellite data with the development of products that we have used and how can we effectively use these and put it to practice, which has led to the work that we currently do on our day-to-day at the most active point, because we are currently at a stage in which we have so many projects that it's hard for us to have a traceability of who's doing what and where, because we understand that this is the only way in which we can have this progress that we are proud of with local agencies and the way that they give to all this research. Who is NASA Harvest? Well, we have so many people. It's like a consortium at international level where we have universities, government institutions, NGOs, private companies, and we all cooperate with under the same idea of contributing with our ideas and develop tools and services with clear goals. So with the support of NASA in order to provide something to put the safety and the monitoring of agriculture through the use of everything that we can contribute to. What else can we say? Well, crop monitor. That's something that we have talked about in the community, but it has an important weight that we cannot underestimate. That's something that we work on with the production charts, and this is how we see and how it affects. We can have estimates of production, how droughts can affect, or quantitative information, and this is very relevant, and we use it on a monthly basis, so it's quite useful at any level because it allows the people responsible for decision making to evaluate in an effective manner the availability and quality of crops in certain regions, and it allows to activate mechanisms for humanitarian aid if necessary. And that this way you can take into account if the most important supplier for a particular crop is going through a rough time, for example. You can take this into account, how this might affect imports and exports. So you can maybe have to rethink or you can provide this information for the markets. And it comes in really handy. This is the integration. All the way from the origin, it has been clearly integrated with all the reports that have been developed. So obviously, it goes hand in hand in order to have a more comprehensive picture. And these are the global maps that we prepared from Crop Monitor with all the systems. And we have a network of systems. Some of them are global, and some of them are regional, and some of them are national. And we try to integrate all this information for decision making. And the map is more and more complete. And I think that this is very important, which leads to the work that we are currently conducting with the Global Crop Monitor, which we think is quite interesting, because Crop Monitor, as we said before, was created with the idea of monitoring the state of crops from the most important growers from G20. And I think that it was so interesting that we exported the same model in order to be used for food safety purposes, which gave us a very important vision, because in the beginning it was not complete, because we have a group of countries that they were producers but were not part of some categories. They might be not part of G20, but some of them were not under food safety concerns. So this initiative that was led by Estefania wanted to incorporate some of these countries to the structure or to the practice community under Crop Monitor, to try and create a global map that was more complete, to try and better understand under a different scale, that indicated how these crops were doing for some regions, in order to be able to say that this is an open activity that really motivates us, because we are still trying to find more partners that want to cooperate and be a part of this initiative that works in both ways, because we provide the information, but we also generate tools that then can be easily accessed for all the participating countries on these different initiatives. And then we can start working on this report. And then I'll give the floor to Estefania. And she bore all the weight for all this report and all this review, because somehow it's her baby. So I don't want to steal the spotlight from her. So the floor is yours, Estefania. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Good morning, good evening. As you know, my name is Estefania Puricelli, and I would like to comment a little bit the technical part of the report from the joint work and the workshop. As commented before, with IICA, with FAO technical support, with the collaboration of many professionals in the region. And the question that we have in our task with AMA was, what countries publish agricultural data? What countries have agricultural estimates programs that use remote sensing? How can we help those who maybe are on an incipient period of the use of this technology to speed up the adoption and to be able to see the benefits of the remote sensing in agriculture? All these questions that we have in our head, as commented before, we want to work in conjunction with IICA to better understand, to have a map of the situation of the remote sensing use in the region, because that helps us to better think how we can help the countries, if it is with courses, with a series, or how. But to know what do we need to do, we need to understand the map, where each country was, so to have a picture of the time. Some questions were what institutions regularly publish this information. Each country is different. Each country publishes this information from the governmental side and different institutions. And they are not always the ministries of agriculture. Sometimes there are the INEAs. There is a range of institutions. Some of them work with remote sensing, others do not. An institution of a country analyzes the remote sensing, but then they do not have agricultural estimates. Maybe other countries do have them, but they are not using remote sensing. So we wanted to better understand the scenario and to know what the challenges could be. That is why we got this collaboration with AICA. And so we had a workshop of the use of remote sensing in agricultural reports and statistics in Latin America. We really appreciate the presence of the participants, the speakers, those who were able to attend the event in Costa Rica. And we want to thank you. The idea was to see what was the situation status. So we have 2 workshop days, and the prior work we had was to carry out several surveys. Those professionals working in the agricultural estimates, but from the governmental side, I mean the governmental sector, in order to locate the search, because there are many people that do estimates but would like to focus in the public part. So the interactions and service, after all that, we were able to publish this report, the use of remote sensing in agricultural reports and statistics in Latin America. It is online. I invite you to visit it, to read it. And this is the state of affairs. We're going to try to upload the English version as well. And what are the most important parts of the report? Thank you, Federico, for sharing the link. So, as I commented, we try to have a service before the workshop to have a basis about the situation. And during the workshop, we also carried out surveys. The workshop was a hybrid workshop, so we had many participants, the professionals from the different agencies. We also work with the different entities and representatives of the region. We were cooperating a lot with FAO. They were part of the workshop as well. And then, with all this, we want to put this into a report for this to become the picture of the time. And that will help different organizations, research entities, not only from the region, but also from abroad, in order to lay the foundations for future interventions. After the workshop, with the information obtained from the prior service during the workshop service, we made something related to the use of remote sensing for different countries. We tried to do this as exhaustive as possible, but this is a last year picture. Probably some things have changed already, but we needed a picture of the time. And the idea was to show the progress later and to see the differences and how this technology was adopted. And for less technical people, in relation to the remote sensing, some different types of this technology that we address, since there are different levels of understanding about what the technology is, and with different levels on the use of this tool, the service, so we try to include everything in the service. What is the use of getting images? What images were they using with moderate resolution, high resolution, lower resolution? And also what type of things they were using to process images, such as Google Cloud, and what were the technologies for the generation and visualization of the information once the images are processed. So there are different types. So we try to understand what each country was using. And the idea was to understand who are on an incipient level and who were with the possibility to expand and progress in different uses.
Les comparto acá algunas de las.
These are some of graphs that we have in relation to service. Quite interesting. This led us to understand what were the needs, not only of the frequency different countries were using, or the different representatives were using, but also the frequency and the priority in the use of these tools. So how frequent they use satellite images, products derived from the satellite images, more than 50%, which is a good beginning, a good basis. So to know that there is an important understanding, but some occasionally and some others never use it. So to see where we can speed up our accelerator and the priority of use of products derived from satellite images and what purpose. To develop official statistics, for example, it is used a lot. Also for legislation and also to monitor the crops. Then, here with the use, and then the wish list. For us, this is important, as I mentioned, that helps for us to fine-tune the products that we need to better use, or where we can have workshops, or where there is a need for training for the different technical people in the countries. For example, for the use, what is the use of remote sensing derivatives, research and development of statistical frameworks, support to political decisions and strategic decisions. It is key. Monitor and estimate of crops and analysis of nutrition and food security. I mean, the use of remote sensing is diverse in agriculture for different countries. It goes from the decision-making aspect at the national level to the development of statistical frameworks. In relation to products derived from satellite images, what would you like to use? This is an estimate of performance of crops that was very high, estimate of crop performance. And important is the map of the crop type, risk map, crop cultivation area map, condition of the crop, calendars of crop phase, to understand the times of these crops in the different regions. Vegetation indexes, the biomass on the soil, incoming radiation or growth level. And this is very interesting. So reasons for them not to use products derived from satellite images. This is the flesh of the report, something we would like to understand, particularly training. Normally the result was training of the difficult technical people. One of them is why you didn't use it, because I need additional training, because I don't know how to have access to data. I need additional access to software. I do not have computer resources and other series of reasons. But for us, the first three are the most important. We need to work on this, and AICA, we are partnering to develop more workshops. Last year we held several workshops, but that helped us to fine-tune the situation in different countries. In closing, the result of the work, we observe a frequent use of information derived from remote sensing in statistics and agricultural reports from different countries. Main barriers: lack of human resources training, restrictions to have access to images, limitations in accessing technologies, particularly software for image processing. In closing, the workshop and the paper give us the opportunity of understanding the use of remote sensing in agriculture in Latin America. It gives us tools to implement, to increase efforts, training efforts in the region. We are working on developing new tools for capacity building and app development. And this is for you to have the links. Thank you so much. I hope you can use the report, that the report is going to be useful for you. This is a picture of last year, everything we were able to collect in different organizations. We're trying to have a sort of a portfolio about the situation, and I hope this could be used as a basis for the future. Maybe in some years we'll have another one, and the results of the thing will indicate the result of the survey will indicate that the use has increased, and that this can continue growing in different manners. Now I'm going to give the floor to Guadalupe Tiscornia. She is the coordination of digital transformation and information systems from Uruguay. And then we're going to have Fernando, that I will introduce later. They will comment a little bit on the cases of use of the remote sensing in their different countries. And another comment: Guadalupe is one of the pioneers in participating in the Global Crop Monitor initiative that Antonio commented a while ago. And we're trying to expand to different countries in Latin America for them to be part of this Global Crop Monitor. And this will provide the feedback to the report that is being sent to, and we have Chile as well. Chile is participating. We thank you so much. And those of you who would like to participate, please get in touch with me later. Thank you. Thank you, Stefania and Federico, Antonio and Chris and the whole team for the invitation. First of all, the idea is to tell you about our experience, and beyond that, the support we have received, particularly from Stefania and Antonio, to enter into the world of Crop Monitor. I believe it provides a lot of benefits nationally, regionally, and globally. So it gives an idea, a quite objective idea. And for me, this is a quite interesting initiative. And so thanks for the support in the transition. It was not simple, but we made it. So in INEA, we have been using these remote sensing tools for a while for general matters. So we started monitoring the general condition of the vegetation at the national level. using the vegetation indexes, we detected anomalies, and this is related to the picture. We carry out monthly analysis. We compare this versus the average of a historic series from the same month to compare how the vegetation is at the general level. We also started not so long ago, but I'm referring to monitoring the condition of crops. What we do first is to have a summer crop layer. So we do this at the national level, and according to the vegetation index values of a given period, we generate maps. We generate them at the police section level to make it compatible with the information generated from the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries in Uruguay. So to have something easier that can be interpreted easier by the decision makers to interpret the condition of crops in a given year. And we also make it relative to the average of the condition of crops regarding a historic series and against the previous year. Often decision makers nationally, regionally, and locally have the memory of the previous year. So we consider good to show it in that regard. And then we also monitor the pastures. In Uruguay, the livestock, particularly in extensive areas, is very important. So we we see the condition through the radiation as a growth proxy, and we also show this information. We do this as operational products every 10 days and on a monthly basis, depending on the satellite information we will use in this, but it goes in these ranges. We generate these products and we make them available. The challenges we are seeing now, and with whom we have interacted with NASA Harvest, is to have a general classification of summer crops. We try to go to some type of crops to generate a map of the soya, corn, and to go beyond improvements we may have in the space resolution we are working. So we are also generating better products. So we have relatively acceptable history to start working with whom we traditionally work with MARIS, and the fact to be able to include this thing that Stephanie commented from other variables, for example, evapotranspiration, for other monitoring that we do more related to water balance. So we'd like to start including this type of satellite information. So in summary, but something else that I consider important, and we need to continue working on this, is how to submit the information, depending on the target audience. The way we present the information is vital. It is good to show the raw information for other researchers or people working in these topics can continue deepening and working more, but we have a lot to do in the way we show the information. Simple way for decision makers that will not gonna elaborate more the information, but they will show the information on an understandable manner, and for them to take actions according to the information we develop in this monitoring aspect. So thanks again. I believe we have many things to continue working on, both with IICA and NASA Harvest. So thank you for the invitation again. Thank you, Guadalupe. Thanks for your intervention and your time and your cooperation. Now I'm going to recognize Fernando Montiga, technical of the Secretary of Agriculture, Livestock and Fishery in Chile. Well, I have prepared a short presentation, so I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see the screen. Yes, we can. Yes. Okay. First of all, I want to thank the invitation to participate in this journey. It is a great honor for me and also because it gives us the possibility to show the products we develop and the Direction of Agricultural Estimates and the Secretary of Bioeconomy of the region. Stefania asked me to be brief, so I'm going to give you a quick overview. So let me give you some background. Agricultural estimates in Argentina are based in the MSA. This methodology, this randomly segment method, it is in the internet. The link is to the right for you to enter. It is a statistical method that does not depend on the availability of satellite images to achieve goals. I hope you're not going to be disappointed with this, but the method appears when we only have Landsat 5 images that were about to be out of operation. Then we have the new satellite Landsat 8, all the Sentinel series. But at that time, we needed an objective method that did not depend on the availability of images in order to have more accurate estimates. It is a stratified probabilistic sample formed by segments randomly distributed all over the agricultural territory that are visited twice a year. In many cases, we have the support of the technical people from the headquarters. How do we integrate all this information with satellite images? The randomly segment method uses satellite information on a marginal manner because, I repeat, we can have estimates anyway, even if we do not have satellite images. This has led us to generate an important databases, georeference databases with historical information. And this is the one that we use in the remote sensing area later. One of the main products are the crop maps that led us to supplement and provide the feedback to this randomly segment method and to improve the estimates consistently and in a robust manner. Meaning that the randomly segment method gives us an estimate of the surface planted in each province in Argentina, but it did not tell us anything about the location, so where the crops are located. While the crop map does it. So providing feedback to the method, with that we can have a second estimate of the surface planted besides the MSA. And where we see some significant discrepancies is where we try to improve the method of randomly segments. Crop maps, we have them since 2019, 2020. We have 2 maps per year for summer crop and winter crops. Some of them have some gaps to complete, but they're quite complete. The one that you see is the last one we have from winter crops campaign from last year. This is our main product and our output of the many things we work later. This is a short detail, a brief detail, how our maps look like, the classes that we classified, and some of the lines of work. With the support of the statistical service from USDA, we are working in the estimate of performance from remote sensors. We got Ben Johnson's visit last year. He has shared with us his method of work to obtain simple performance estimates and practical estimates. We have worked with our data. Here, this is one example of the department and General Lopez in Santa Fe province. Those are the values obtained. And this method, there are 3 methodologies, and one has always given us the best results. The method, why the method is simple and it is simple and gives us the possibility to have values very quickly and estimate. We as Argentinians, we try to concretize things a little bit more and based on the maps, on the crop maps and the field information we have, we are trying to adjust even more these performance models. Another line of work based on the crop map is the study of crop turnover in order to analyze monocrops. This is just one example. Those are two departments of a province. Those are products that are obtained kind of simply, having the crop maps at hand. Another line of work is the damage assessment. This is recent information, thinking that this year the corn crop is going to be affected by something transmitted by an insect that transmits a bacteria that affects the corn crop. And it has been quite aggressively in the country, and it is going to the south. We needed a tool to assess this stunting situation with field information. And working with the various satellite, we have these values. The analysis is quite simple. Comparing the series of the last 5 years and comparing the series of normalized vegetation index for the last campaign. So in our field data, the delegate that visited these plots included in observations when there was a presence of spiroplants and when we do not observe it. Having observed this difference, we are aware that we are on the, for instance, period. The plots affected by spiroplants have had a different evolution, a reduction in the vegetation index. So with taking this pattern to this crop map that we show in the middle, it is a map, a promissory map, because the campaign is not over yet. So in this map, we have found the level. I don't know if you can see it because I believe it is not very clear. I don't know if you can see full screen. So we see the damage map where the areas, the darker areas, are the ones that will be affected the most. We also have used the remote sensing for frozen things in the year. So there we are subject to the availability of satellite images before and after the event.
This is another line of work which has been fundamental for us, which is training. We worked last year on the training of our personnel. We had people coming from rural areas. They came and brought their data, and they went through the whole process, all the way from the data cleansing and the classification of satellite image, the use of codes, and the evaluation of all the classifications. It was a very intensive week where we not only did all that, but they also were aware of the importance of field data, because any of these models no model is going to work if they are incomplete.
Eso es lo que tenía preparado, así que
That's what I wanted to share with you. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Muchísimas gracias, Fernando, Guadalupe.
Thank you very much, Fernando, Guadalupe, Antonio, and Stefania. We have
¿Preguntas?
some minutes for questions.
Si les parece bien, voy a repasar.
If you agree,
o preguntas.
I am going to mention some of the questions in the chat
Tanto Estefanía como Antonio.
for Stefania, Antonio, Fernando, for any of you.
Les pido en lo posible.
I would like to ask you to be as brief as possible because we are running out of time.
Liliana, por un lado,
Iliana is asking,
preguntas que se hicieron y luego.
I'm just going to mention some of them. If you have disaggregated, use data for Stefania
De la encuesta por sexo para ver si.
by sex or gender to see if there are any differences.
María del Carmen,
Maria del Carmen is asking
respecto al uso, si existiese alguna experiencia, algún conocimiento
if there is a possibility of if there is remote sensing
en apicultura
for because
para estimar o predecir curvas de floración.
for any flowering or vegetation because she is a specialist on beekeeping.
No lo recuerdo.
And also Fernando is asking about
Sobre, específicamente a Fernando,
specifically
sobre este trabajo que están haciendo de predicción de rendimiento
about the work that you are conducting on the yield,
de escalarlo hacia otros cultivos u otras
about scaling this to other regions or crops.
Las dos primeras les paso a Estefanía y Antonio.
So Estefanía
A Fernando para
and then Fernando. Do you have any
Muchas
comments?
gracias. Con respecto
Yeah, thank you. In relation to the differentiation
cuando,
between those using remote sensing,
eso en-
no, we did not
hicimos, pero
add that to the initial service,
para agregar,
but I think that's a very good idea for the future.
después puede comentar
Maybe Antonio would like to add something because
en la región
we are also focusing on women in Latin America,
de
and that is something that we are trying to add in order to help women.
interesante como para
But I think that's a very interesting idea for the future. And as for beekeeping,
tengo,
um,
no lo sé si hay algún uso
I don't know if there is any particular or specific use now, but I think it would be very good when it comes to products that are related to livestock or any other products that
creo
that are not
interesante
the
agregar.
ones that we are working. I think it would be good to add the new products in order to have new estimates
Cultura de política
for honey, pollination. So those are very good ideas. Thank you.
sí, simplemente agregar lo que decía Estefanía.
I just would like to add that we last year participated in November with ICA with NASA Harvest on the use of new tools in order to empower women in rural area. We did that in San Jose, and I think that it was very productive. So those are very good plans, and the idea is to resume those plans with the Fab Lab in November of this year. And the last I heard, I think that they are applying some new funds in order to finance this new week of activities, and that's the last I heard. So I think that there is a commitment in order to do that this year. Yeah.
Perdón, creo que tuve un pequeño corte de internet. Aquí estoy de
I
vuelta.
think
Eh,
I lost you for a few seconds due to some connectivity problems. So my apologies.
le pasaría
Um, Now I will give the floor to Fernando. I don't know
Así que son dos,
if,
la mayor brevedad posible.
yeah.
Bueno, gracias por la pregunta.
Yeah, thank you for your questions.
Nosotros hemos estado,
And we have been testing this method,
el creador de
and again with the methods creators
todas ajustan
for different regions in Argentina, and it is not applicable to all crops. For example, to be honest, it is not very
por ahora
well adapted to wheat. So with the NDVI and for soy and corn, it is better. But again, it depends on the area in the country. And I think it will depend, of course, on the time of the year, because that's how nature works. You might have a wonderful crop, and in summer it might work or it might not. So
es un método, como les decía,
I think that this is a method that is quite simple, as I said,
regional,
and
serviría para
we must try to adapt something at regional level, but sometimes it might work. So in general, it can be adapted with acceptable values, and it can be improved when we apply our own layer of crops. And that's the reason why we add our own values. We can isolate some coverage effects. Sometimes it might apply to corn or soy. I don't know if I'm making myself clear with my answer. So let me know.
Bueno, yo la seguí, Fernando.
At least I did follow you, Fernando. I don't know about the rest. Anyway, we're still fine-tuning and calibrating and trying to improve the method. But based on BIRS, I think that this is a satellite that has a good resolution. But anyway, we're trying to do our best.
se pregunta,
And as for the next question, yeah, thank you. All the data that we generate is shared with agricultural related institutions. Well, there's a problem here because we are still debating, because last year we were amidst the same debate regarding what to do with our maps on crops, and
estadístico nacional.
we are part of the national statistics system, and that's the reason why we are subject to regulations of the national statistics system that are related to the confidentiality of the information. So I can say for sure that field data are protected by confidentiality. So, and then the library is divided by crop maps. So in my personal opinion, I understand that we could publish some data, as some institutions do, but I think that this is a tool that if disseminated, I think it's going to be very useful both for the public and private sectors. But for the time being, we do not have any agreement for data sharing. But this week or the next, we were supposed to meet with the National Census and Statistics Institute. So I guess that will come with an agreement or be more clear regarding what to do with the information. But I think it will be healthy to be able to publish this information. Thank you. Do we have people from INDEC here? So maybe I hope that we're going to have a very good meeting. And to close, I'll give the floor to Guadalupe for some closing remarks. Thank you. I just wanted to say that we are working on some yield models that use machine learning data on climate information. So maybe that can complement the information on vegetation index and remote sensing, but maybe we can use some variables on water contents on the soil that can contribute to these estimates and its accuracy. I just wanted to add that. And obviously, we must keep on working together along these different lines in order to have a regional yield estimates that should be, well, I guess that's what we're all aiming at. Thank you. Thank you. Last question for Fernando. It's yes or no, and do we analyze the vegetative state of the crop? This applied model, does it analyze the vegetation state of the crop? Well, it is based on the NDVI, the curves that we were looking at some point in my presentation are the different stages of the crop, which are growth and along the different stages. So I guess we could say, yes, I guess. Okay. And I guess that our field information, we have the coverage every time the delegate goes through the different segments at random. But it also gathers additional information on the crop, like technology, presence of weeds, and everything. So we end up using them for the maps. Okay, again, so thank you. And now we come to the closing of the third webinar of the pre-week of digital agriculture. Two brief comments. First of all, I would like to thank particularly Kevin. He's not with us, but he was a key piece in the preparation of the report that we saw today and that we will be sharing with you for you to download. So our special thanks to Kevin from Costa Rica. He has cooperated with us at ICA and particularly, so we're going to share the link for you to download. Is of public domain. So again, I would like to thank Christopher, Estefania, Antonio, Guadalupe, Fernando, Carlos, and all of you for being here today and for all the work. And tomorrow we're going to have the last webinar of this pre-week, and we will be presenting the results of the work of exploration of digital resources available, both public and private, that can be useful to anticipate and manage droughts, both for the farmers and for decision makers at the same time, either via Zoom or at all the different channels. So thank you again, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Hasta pronto.